Okay, hello. I guess for the record, I am not a native Japanese speaker, nor am I a qualified Japanese teacher of any kind. But if you've watched my channel for a little bit, you know I've studied for a couple of years now, so I think I'm qualified to say that I know a little bit about the language, or at least a little bit more than zero, but by no means everything. So disclaimer, I might get stuff wrong. This isn't perfect. I'm learning still. But anyways, this is one of the songs that I've been listening to for, I don't know, a long time now, and I really like it. It's called Hakanai, and the word loosely translates to like fleeting or like ephemeral or like something that doesn't really gonna last long is the way I've interpreted it. It's by the Pullovers. I'm not gonna play it, but it's there on Spotify. And it's this song right here. You can also find it on YouTube. I might link it in the description. But I'm going to go through and talk about the lyrics, and I'm going to translate them, and I'm going to do my best to impart what they mean to someone who, either if you know anything about Japanese, or even if you don't know anything, hopefully it's still understandable in some way, and you can take something out of it. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Let's jump into it. First verse, 一つ目、正解のない日々を泳ぐ、溢れる不安をやり過ごす。終わりのないこの時間と終わりのあるその行動、どこにいるのかわからないな。先の見えない現実に焦る。明日のことは忘れて飛び出した。足りない言葉も持っていこう。満たされない心も忘れずに。今がすり抜けていく儚さなんて誰も教えてくれなかった。いつか君がいなくなっても生きる力はちゃんと連れてくね。Okay, 次。What does all that mean? Start the first one. 正解のない日々を泳ぐ。With Japanese, main verb usually comes at the end. So, 泳ぐ in this case, in which I put a star here because if you're starting out learning, you'll always see 泳ぐ as like to swim. But in this case, it's kind of like going through or like passing through something. So seikai is like a correct or like the right thing. Nai is usually used for like negating something. So seikai no nai, no answer, something without answers. Hibi, kind of just like days, life, your day to day. So kind of just going through life without answers. Afureru fuan o yari sugosu. So afureru, kind of like things building up. Puan is like, I guess wrote down here, anxieties, so built up anxieties. And yari sugosu, letting them pass, so that's like the main verb here. Owaru is to end, and that's like a pretty common word you'll always see. In this case, it's used as a noun instead of the verb owaru, so it's owari is like an ending. Again, as we saw up here, nai is like a negation, so owari no nai is something without an end. Kono jikan is time or like moment or like instance. Kono is like this. I've skipped over like talking about no here. These are like a possessive, so like usually you'll say like watashi no whatever, like my, where watashi is I, so like my blank, my whatever, or like owari no nai, like this no belongs to this, you know what I mean? This whole phrase right here, owari no nai kono jikan, like this moment that doesn't have an ending. To is like an and. Owari no aru. Aru is like there is, or it's just there is, like there is something. So in this case, owari no aru. So like there is an ending, owari, and there is. Sono kodo. Kodo, I had to look up, is heartbeat or like a palpitation or like a rhythm. Sono, similar to kono, is that. So like kono is this, sono that. So this moment that ends and that heartbeat or that like rhythm that does have an ending. Doko ni iru no ka wakaranai na. Doko, where. Doko ni iru is like, iru and aru are like this. You can think of those as the same thing, like an existence of something somewhere in space, just like there it is. But iru is different because you have to use it for animate objects, so like people, animals, stuff like that. So doko ni iru, where am I? No ka is kind of like a way of making this a question within a sentence. Wakaranai is I don't know. The na is kind of like just another ending that you'll hear on top of things sometimes. Just I don't really know how to translate it. If you're texting someone and you just write sigh, you know what I mean, like sigh, that's kind of how I use it. Like wakaranai na, like I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, so that's the first verse. Second part, 先の見えない現実に焦る. Again, 焦る is the main verb here, rushing into something, or like getting, in this case I wrote down getting impatient, or like kind of like jumping the gun, like being antsy about something like that. So what is the singer being too impatient about? 先の見えない現実. Genjitsu is like future, as we've seen earlier. Nai is like a negation. 見えない is not being able to do something, in this case see, where miru is to see. So like 見えない, can't see it. Can't see what? Can't see genjitsu. 見えない現実. Saki no is like in front of me, or like in this case like in front of me. So like 先の見えない, the things in front of me, or the future that I can't see. I'm getting anxious, impatient. I just wanna go be there in the future. You know what I mean? I can't be right now in the present. 明日のことは忘れて飛び出した. Ashita is tomorrow. Koto is like a catch-all term for like things, and as we saw earlier, no is like possessive, so ashita no koto, things about tomorrow, or just like tomorrow in general. I'm not going to get too deep into other particles like wa and ni. Wasurete, wasureru is to forget. Tobu is like, I think it's tobu. I don't remember. Like to fly or like to jump. And dasu is like it means a bunch of different things, but like going out, or like, this one I'm like not too sure about, but like when it's combined with like other verbs, it like changes it somehow. If you can like picture jumping, flying ish, whatever, jumping and like leaving and like going out, you can kind of like reason it in your head as like rushing out. The other thing here, wasureru, we combine it with te to like string these two verbs together. So wasurete, we forgetting, and tobidasu, and you'll notice shita is for past tense, so this whole thing is happened in the past. So wasurete tobidashita, I forgot and jumped or like rushed out. I'm implying the speaker is first person just because it's a singer. So like, what did the speaker wasurete and tobidashita? Ashita no koto, so like things about tomorrow. So I forgot about tomorrow and I just rushed out anyways. Tarinai kotoba mo motte ikou. Tarinai is insufficient. Kotoba is words. Mo is like a particle for like using also, like if you're ordering at a restaurant, you're like, oh, koremo, like this and this, or like also this, koremo. Motte ikou is like a combination of motsu, which is like this verb right here, or part of this verb. Motsu is to like bring or to like have things. Really this ko ending part is like let's do whatever, like ikou, isoni ikou, like let's go together, ikou. Nomu is to like drink, so like nomo, like let's drink. So in this case, like let's bring these insufficient or missing words as well. Tarinai kotoba mo motte ikou. Mitasarenai kokoro mo wasurezu ni. This is a word I did not know, so I had to look this up. I think it's mitasu is the actual verb, and that's like to be satisfied. If you're a little more advanced, this is also used, I think this is also man, maybe, I don't know, actually don't include that, but I think the verb is mitasu, and we do some grammar to it here. So we make it mitasareru if we just want to look at this part right here, and I think that's a passive form, so like left satisfied, mitasareru, it was just passively, it was left satisfied. But nai, negation, mitasarenai, it was left not satisfied. What was the left not satisfied? Kokoro is heart, the heart left unsatisfied. Mo, sore mo, like that. Also, wasureru we saw up here is to forget. Zuni is like an ending here for without. Another way of like making a verb a negative, but a little bit different. I think it's best translated directly as like without, so wasurezu ni, like without forgetting. So that's also not forget about. The heart's left unsatisfied. 次、今がすり抜けていく儚さなんて. So 今 is right now. すり抜けていく. すり抜ける, I think. 抜く is like to like pull out or something like that. So 今がすり抜けていく is like right now, like moving, slipping away, kind of like going off into the future or going off somewhere. 儚さなんて is like, なんて is kind of like is kind of like kind of. Hakanai, fleeting, is how that's the word that I'm going to use for it. Usually as an adjective, hakanai, I wish I could write on here. This is making an adjective into like a noun, I guess. Yeah, so like hakanasa is like the noun version of hakanai, adjective. This moment is kind of something that's just like leaving us. 誰も教えてくれなかった. Nobody told me that. 誰 is like who. 誰も is nobody. 誰か would be somebody. So 誰も nobody. And you can tell also that it's nobody because of over here. She says 教えてくれなかった. There's a lot to unpack on this one. 教える is to like tell someone or to tell something. なかった is like a past tense ending. Na is like the negative form of the past tense here. 教えてくれた would be just told me in the past tense. But she says 教えてくれなかった did not happen. 教える plus this くれなかった part is kind of just, it's usually taught with like giving something or like receiving something. So like nobody told me that, and you can put in parentheses like doing something, doing someone a favor, and like by doing the verb. So like 教えてくれる would be like, oh, like someone like favor, I'm gonna say parentheses, somebody favorably told me something. いつか君がいなくなっても生きる力はちゃんと連れてくね。いつか someday 君 is you. いなくなっても is like いなくなる is like not like to die but like to be gone or to like disappear. ても is another ending for like even though basically. So いなくなっても even though you'll be gone. いつか someday. This is another weird like combination of words that I didn't really translate well. 生きる is like to live. Chikara is like power, but like it's not necessarily just like living power. It's kind of, and I guess in some way spirit and like these things here roughly equate. But your memory, I feel like is like the best one here. I don't know. Chanto very loosely is just like be sure of or like to do something properly, correctly, completely, fully. You know what I mean? So ikiru chikara wa chanto, your memory. I'll be sure to do what? Tsurete kune, bring it along with me. Then it's just kind of like, you know, I guess something like that. Sabi or chorus. いつか終わってしまうなら、せめて今だけ隣にいて、忘れられなくなるくらい失っていくこの瞬間を一緒に生きてよ。意味は、いつか we saw earlier, someday. 終わる we saw earlier, to end. しまう is for like usually used on top of a verb to describe like something fully finishing or something fully being done. And I feel like sometimes it's given the context of like something finished and you didn't really want it to happen, like it wasn't the intended outcome. So いつか終わってしまう, like someday it's gonna end and I'm gonna, in parentheses, be sad about it. Nara is like if that's the case, or like an if. So this nara points to like all of this back here. If it whatever it is, like either the person that she's with or like life is gonna come to an end someday. Semete ima dake tonari ni ite. Semete is like at the very least, like please, you know what I mean? Like please at least. Ima dake, just for now. Ima, we saw earlier, dake is like just or like only, so like ima dake, just for now. Tonari ni ite. Tonari is like neighbor or like next to. Iru, ite, like as a command-ish, like just be by my side, like be next to me for now. Wasurerare naku naru kurai 失っていくこの瞬間を一緒に生きてよ. So there's a lot on this one that I kind of had to group together. Wasureru, we saw earlier, was to forget. Wasurerareru would be can forget. That's like a potential. And we saw like naku is similar, is like nai, where it's like a negation. So wasurerare naku, cannot forget. Naru is like to become. So wasurerare naku naru, something that can't be forgotten. Kurai is like an almost, so something becomes almost unforgettable. Ushinatte ku, ushinao is like to lose, and like the teiku is like describing a continuous action, like you didn't just, I lost it. There was like the one instance where I lost it. It's like a continuous ushinatte ku, like I'm losing it. What am I losing? Shunkan is like a moment or like an instance. We saw kono earlier. Ishoni ikiteyo. Ishoni is together. Ikiteyo. We saw ikiru is like to living, so all together, working backwards kind of. Ushinatte ku kono shunkan. This moment we're losing. Let's live together. Wasurerare naku naru kurai. Until it becomes something that we cannot forget anymore. That's like the main chorus right here. In the second verse, Yoru o hashiru resha, fueru akikan, kawaru hizuke, shotengai no sumikko, yoru no koen wa itsumo yasashi. Yowasa no te o hiku, tsuyosa sae mi o yoseatte, dainashi ni shita, 傷ついた分だけ傷つくてた。僕らずっと同じ場所で息をしてた。答えなんてなくていい。きっと迷い続けるから儚いこの瞬間を 始まってから失うまで一緒に生きてよ. First one here. So this verse is kind of just like, she's kind of just talking about a bunch of different things that are kind of just in some ways mundane, but are meaningful if you like think about it a little bit more. So like she's talking about yoru is like night, hashiru is to like run, resha is train, so like the train running at night, aki is like an empty or like an open thing, kans are cans, and then fueru is like to add or like to increase, so like the cans that are stacking. Kawaru is like to change. Hizuke are like the days or like the dates, so like the kawaru, Hizuke, the changing days. Shotengai is a shopping street. Gai is like street. Ten is like a shop. Sho is like a seller, I guess. So like a selling shop street, if you really want to like look at it that way. Shotengai no sumiko, like a nooks and crannies kind of thing, little like small like alleyways, I guess. So like all these like little alleyways of the shopping districts. And then she says yoru no koen is like a park. Oh, I colored this wrong. Oops. Itsumo is always. Yasashi, one of the first words you'll learn. Nice or like amicable, kind, friendly, pleasant, all of the above. And these are just kind of like the way I'm interpreting it as like not really boring things, but like things you might overlook and kind of just maybe ignore if you're not paying attention to it, but have some semblance of beauty or like nostalgia to it maybe. 弱さの手を引く強ささえ身を寄せ合って台無しにした. This one I had to group together because it was a little bit weird. This one was kind of tricky for me to translate, so I don't know if I did this one right, but I'll do my best here. Yowai, weak. If you've seen JJK, you might recognize that word, yowai. As we saw earlier, this is like the noun form of the adjective yowai. So yowasa, weakness. Te is most commonly hand, like your own hands or something like that. But I think in this case, it's like possession of something. So like yowasa no te, like our weaknesses. Hiku is like to pull or to like, in this case, like draw on or to pull on something. Tsuyosa, again, the same noun form of tsuyoi, so like the strength. Sae, I also don't really know this one too well, but like it's kind of like even, but in like the sense of, oh, I didn't even have something, or like I couldn't even do XYZ, or like I didn't even get the chance. I feel like you would use sae in that case. Yowasa no te, they are weaknesses. Hiku is like the verb here, so like to pull on our weaknesses or to draw on our weaknesses. Tsuyosa sae, the strength. This negative is implied because of dainashi ni shita. In my opinion, dainashi, I think is to like make a mess of things. Remember past tense, so we made a mess of things. So I think that kind of implies the fact that pulling on our weaknesses and strength, we didn't have the strength, because if we had the strength, we wouldn't have made a mess of something, you know what I mean? Yosei atte, like clinging together. This one's tricky, and I kind of translate it as like we didn't even have the strength to draw on our weaknesses, and by sticking together, it made a mess of things. Kizu is like a wound, so kizu tsuita, or past tense ta, got hurt, and then bundake is like the more of X, the more of Y, so kizu tsuita bundake, the more we got hurt. Kizu tsukete ta is like we inflicted the wounds, and then we're talking about like us, so like the more that we got hurt, the more we hurt each other. Bokura is like we, boku is I, bokura makes it plural. Zutto is like always or like forever or for like a long period of time. Onaji is like the same. Basho, place, like onaji basho, the same place. Iki wo suru is to like sigh or like breathe. In some ways, like kind of implies like living. Again, past tense. So breathed, is that the word? Is that right? Breathed, breathed. And shiteta is like the te is giving like a continuous motion, not just one breath, I guess. So bokura zutto onashi basho de, we stayed in the same place together for like a long time, and we're just kind of like existing together in the same place. This part here, kotai nante nakute ii, kitto mayoi tsuzukeru kara. So kotai is the answer. Nante is, we saw earlier, like nante is kind of, so like some kind of answer. Naku, remember negation, nakute ii, you don't have to do X, Y, and Z, so kotai nante, like an answer of sorts. If you don't have it, that's okay. Like I is like fine. I, this guy right here. Kitto is like I'm sure of. Mayoi, or to be lost, or mayo, I think it's mayo is to be lost, and tsuzukeru is like to continue, and kara in this case is because. I highlight as because. Sometimes this comes at the end of speech, and then in this case it's like kotai nante nakute, you don't have to have an answer because, so like you can kind of put the because here. Kitto mayoi tsuzukeru, because I'm sure will continue to be lost. Hakanai kono shunkan wo, I think these are all words that we've seen before. Hajimaru is like for something to start. Kara, same kara here, but in this case, it's because it's paired with made. Kara made is like A kara B made, from A until B something. So hajimatte kara, so like from the start. Ushinao, we saw earlier, is like losing, or like to lose, or to like miss something. Ushinao made, until that point that it's lost. Isho ni ikite yo, we saw these words earlier. Hakanai kono shunkan wo, this fleeting moment from once it starts. Hajimatte kara ushinao made, until it's lost. Isho ni ikite yo. And this is the last bit. Tonari ni iru no wa kimi ga ii. Itsuka nakushite shimau no nara, kono tokimeki wa wasuretaku nai. Kimi ga iru koto ga konna ni mo toi koto datta nante shiranakatta yo. So tonari we saw earlier. Iru is like to be next to, so tonari ni iru, the act of being next to you, or like the fact that it's you. Kimi is like nice or like pleasant again, so like having you by my side is like enjoyable, or like it's great to have you by my side kind of thing. Itsuka, remember someday. Nakushite shimao, like to lose something. Shimao like happens fully and not favorably the thing that I wanted to happen. And remember nara, the if, the conditional, right? So like if someday I'm going to lose you, if that's the case. Kono tokimeki wa wasuretaku nai. Tokimeki, I didn't know, I had to look this one up. It could be like a bunch of these things here, so like thrilling, exciting. I feel like exciting is probably the best word here. So like this like exciting feeling of like when you're starting something new and you're like, I guess honeymoon phase maybe in some ways, but kono tokimeki, this kind of feeling. Wasureru, right, is to forget. Wasuretai, if there was an E here, want to forget, but remember nai are negative. Wasuretaku nai, I don't want to forget. So I don't want to forget this tokimeki, this thrilling feeling, I guess. The way this one translates is also kind of weird, but bear with me. Kimi ga iru koto. Remember, koto is like a thing. Kimi is you. Iru is like there is. So kimi ga iru, the thing of you being here, basically. Konna ni is like to this extent, or to like to this degree. Hold on to that thought. Toi is like a precious koto thing, right? Datta is like a past tense. So kimi ga iru koto ga, the fact of you being here. Konna ni mo toi koto datta, to this extent it was a precious thing. Shiranai is like I don't know. Shiranakatta, I did not know. So shiranakatta yo, I didn't know that kimi ga iru koto ga, I did not know that you being here would be this much of a precious thing, is how it closes. I don't know, I like the song, I like the guitar and the singing and all that, but in a way it's kind of sad. It's a good song. I'd recommend it if you get the chance, and now that you've watched this video, you know what she's talking about and like what she's singing. The message that I get from this song is kind of like to not be so looking into the future, you know, like be present essentially. Like don't just kind of go through the motions of the days and stuff and like not really think about it and like not really know where you are. Like try to be present even though you don't know like what's going on, and like you kind of just, oh, I just can't wait to graduate high school, or I just can't wait for whatever. Eventually you'll realize like, man, like I graduated college and now I'm like, man, I miss college. Why didn't anyone say that, like, to like, you know what I mean, like I'll just wait for the next thing, or like I just can't wait for XYZ, and then like you kind of forget about like all the shit that happened back here that you wish you enjoyed more when you were in the moment there, but you didn't really. I feel like the message is kind of to be like, hey, even though like I'm just gonna use graduation as an example, like I'm gonna graduate one day, like instead of looking forward to the fact of graduating and like what comes after it, like let me focus on like this stuff here, and like live in these tiny moments of like, you know, just like stupid shit, like, oh, it's just the day changed the next day, or like, oh, like the little tiny dude on the side of the street selling something, or like just like random stuff that like you might not necessarily see all the time. And like this one, I don't really know how this one plays into it, but like the fact that like, hey, like let's focus on all this right here for now, because what comes after this moment here of graduating, I don't know what's gonna happen, but like I know it's gonna end at some point. What happens here, I don't know, but like let's enjoy this time now that we have together, because like when this ends and now we're here, and if you weren't being like present and like thinking about it and like really enjoying these times, you're gonna be like, man, I didn't realize how great of a time that I had back here, and like how much I should have enjoyed this instead. Whether that's a moment, whether that's like a place and time, whether that's a person or something like that. I guess it's kind of just a big call out to be present and to be, I don't know, appreciative of the things that you have or the people that you're with or something like that. But yeah, it's a good song, recommend. Hopefully this isn't too long a video. If it is, sorry, I'll try and be quicker next time. If I didn't explain something enough, let me know in the comments. I'll try and answer it. Or if I didn't explain something correctly and you feel free the need to correct me, please do so, because again, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a native speaker, but I've been studying for like a handful of years and I know a thing or two. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.